Okay, let's take a couple of questions. I know you're busy buying Bitcoin. Raise your hand if you're excited about investing in Bitcoin. So obviously, who's found today of value? Who's learnt a lot of many, certainly interesting things? And it's like any investment or anything you do, the more you learn, the more you have the potential to earn because you have more confidence. And investing really comes from having that inner certainty to act regardless of the external validation. Most people are not successful investors is that they need all their friends, all their family, all the media saying, do it, do it, do it, before they feel validated to go and do something. Now, when everyone's doing that, that's when you do have a bubble in a market. Like the US property market was like that because everyone was doing it. I often talk about the taxi driver test. If your taxi driver has become a property developer part-time, time to sell your properties. Okay. If your taxi driver is giving you stock market tips, time to sell out. When your taxi driver starts telling you how many Bitcoins they've bought and made, maybe it's time to cash out a Bitcoin. Does that make sense? It's always a good test because human psychology is that people need external validation because they don't know how to make a decision internally. Therefore, they're always going to be the last ones into something. They're always going to make the wrong decisions. You need to be ahead of the trend or be what's called a contrarian investor. Warren Buffett is a contrarian investor. For instance, he's investing in newspapers at the moment when no one else largely will. Why? Because he has contrarian views. He sees value in distressed assets. We've been the same in our media companies. We've been buying print magazines because we have a contrarian view to the rest of the industry because we believe there's a future in them. Or we can buy them at distress. So, but that you have to be able to generate, just like when Bitcoin might drop down, a lot of people freak out because the external validation is no longer there. Is that a time to panic or is that a buying opportunity? You'll only know that if you have the internal certainty to be able to preempt the future. And that uncertainty comes from knowledge and psychology. The psychology to act and having the knowledge. By having more knowledge, you have almost like insider trading type benefit. Even though it's not insider trading, you have an advantage, competitive advantage to other people. So in saying that, I'll just hear what's been, maybe you want to share, we'll go around the room, what's been the best thing you've learnt so far today? We'll start down the front with you. Best thing you've learnt so far today?
The protection. You've got to be careful of hackers.
Yep.
I thought, okay, maybe if I purchase a small cheap computer just to store Bitcoin on, and then it's not connected to the internet the whole time either.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because hackers can get into, just like they can hack bank accounts, they certainly can hack, and that's probably one of the areas of concern for people. So, yep. So don't have it left lying around on a computer connected to the internet because that's just basically leaving your safe unlocked and the door to your house unlocked and with a sign going, come here, here's my cash in my safe I didn't bother locking. It's just like anything, you'd be responsible with it. If you're responsible with it, it's not such an issue. Next, best thing for yourself?
Mine would be, earlier you said about not having an attachment to money.
Yeah.
Just kind of having that realisation. How much that we do get attached to things.
Yeah.
And then if we let that go, then our emotional sort of internal regulators doesn't go overdrive in the decision. So I think that will help me.
Yeah, definitely. It's important. And a lot of people relate to that because we can make logic decisions, but as emotional human beings, that can override our logic. And then we start making very different decisions, especially from the fear of loss. If you look at and say, why do most people not become wealthy? If Bitcoin can go from 1,000 to 100,000, that's a massive potential for gain. Just like it's gone from, 1 cent to 10 cents to $1 to $10 to $100 to $1,000 already. There's been massive potential gain. Humans are more make decisions based on pain and pleasure. Humans are more afraid to lose money than they are to gain money. Therefore, even though it can have that potential to go from 1,000 to 100,000, and we see massive potential in that. Human psychology is most people would rather avoid that $1,000 chance of going to zero, even though that's only 1,000 difference. They're more likely to want to avoid that than 1,000 going to 100,000. So therefore, most people won't because of that fear of loss. So be emotionally attached to something. That's why if you say up front, well, if I'm speculating and I can handle losing it, the money I put in, then I have no emotional attached to it, then you can make more logical decisions. It's not that you want to lose money, but you're less likely to lose money when you accept the reality of things, then because you don't control what's going to happen to the price of Bitcoin. And if you're watching and you're praying at night hoping it goes up, and other people praying in hopes it goes down, you've already lost the game, because now you're emotionally involved in something. Warren Buffett's never like that. He doesn't. In the credit crisis, he didn't panic. He went in and bought the banks that no one else wanted to touch because they're afraid they're going to collapse. He went in and bought them. He bought them smartly. He said, I'll give you X amount of money. I want set interest return plus equity. So he could dictate the terms. He made a lot of money out of investing in bailing out the banks. And he missed the call for about Lehman Brothers. They don't leave a voicemail with Warren Buffett. And that's, they try to get Warren Buffett. If he had bailed out Lehman Brothers, then the credit crisis mightn't have happened. But they couldn't reach him at that time, or the call was missing. And as a result of that, led to the credit crisis. It could have been avoided. Best thing?
For me it was a combination, just the different whys, and obviously the hedge, we mentioned the hedge, and obviously not only maybe trading it, but also, the buy and hold, and the baby bucket principle, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All that. And just, your analysis of the bit of the history, and then your fundamental sort of thoughts on the future, which, that was great.
Yeah, no problem. That's great. Miss New Zealand?
Just everybody's take on what they think might happen, what you might think might happen, your highest and your lowest, and what your average thoughts on it were.
Yeah.
Which is basically why I came along, was because the group that I went to last week in New Zealand, all they could talk about was mining bitcoins.
Yeah.
And they really didn't know anything about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sort of the horses bolted for a lot of people for that now. And it's great if you get Bitcoins effectively in for free, or apart from the energy costs to get it. But the real money now is made in either doing what Patrick's talking about, trading, or the still potential buy and hold if we believe it has a long-term future. So, yeah, over here, best thing.
Candlestick patterns.
Yep.
How to spot trends and reversal.
Yep.
Yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is a lot of the share trading principles for traders can be adopted straight across to Bitcoin. It's more volatile, so for traders, they like the volatility. And it's a liquid market still. Maybe not as smooth as far as the other markets, as far as the quickness in and out of exchanges, but that will evolve as more and more people come into the market. Best thing?
Well, it was more reassurance that I got.
Yeah.
I sort of had a few ideas myself, and most of them were, I got the reassurance, and they're sort of that kind of thing. But I found it interesting about China.
Yep.
I don't see it as a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
I see it as a good thing. Slowing everything down. There may be a few different reasons why, but it wouldn't be surprise me at all if China's going, let's mine it ourselves, let's try to slow it down, let's get a whole bunch of powerful computers, a whole bunch of us guys to link together,
Yeah.
Slowing it down, it's a good thing, So,
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, if China wanted to kill Bitcoin, they would have done it by now. Their goal has not been to kill it. Their goal is obviously you want to try and control it a little bit and not let it be a runaway train. And I think the only reason they're posing some regulations is because of the money laundering and Chinese trying to get their yuan converted to Bitcoin and get their money the hell out of the country. But they're doing that regulation on dollars and on property and everything else. So I don't think it should be misinterpreted that they're picking on Bitcoin. They're doing it across the board. So, and they haven't shut it down. And also they're smart because you've got to be careful, and governments realize that if you go and be heavy-handed, you can incite a revolution and make Bitcoin become massive because people just go, we don't like governments, we don't like banks, and we're going to go and put our money in Bitcoin. So, you know, there is a lot of movements of people that will support something like that. So they have to be, you have to be balanced, because there is that rebellious spirit amongst humans. That anti-government, anti-banking spirit is very alive and well in the Bitcoin industry, and that's important to understand that, because that's a driving force behind it as well. It's more than just, you know, buying lotto tickets and hoping to speculate to make money. It's actually, there's disruptive technology there, there's a potential revolution, there's a change in the monetary system, there's value for merchants to trade, you know, buy things for no commission, instant clearing, no freezing of accounts. So there's a lot of intrinsic benefits of Bitcoin, and it is limited. May be volatile, but they have created a scarce amount of it.
Also, it was 2 years ago, I heard an interview with one of the major guys in Apple.
Yep.
And they said they weren't putting most of their research into the new iPhone. They were developing something called the iWallet a few years ago. And I'm thinking, right now, we're held back a little bit by the hardware, or it's not that easy to transfer coins right now. It's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
So once the technology is a little bit more user-friendly, I reckon it's just going to go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there can be big players that could move into the industry as well. I mean, Facebook is in a perfect position to create its own currency. They do it to have it to some degree, but there's no reason Facebook couldn't add on to everyone's Facebook account your e-wallet, and you trade in Facebook credits. There's already an economy for that. So, you know, some of these bigger players, JP Morgan has patented one recently in the last few weeks on digital currency. So there's opportunity there. So it is a massively growing industry, a lot of excitement about it. And I think the one thing we can guarantee is that we're going to hear a lot more about Bitcoin. It's just that you guys have an advanced knowledge than a lot of people, and there'll be increasing demand of people wanting to know the things that we're talking about here today, and that's why we obviously filmed it, so people can get access to a little bit more than just, you know, how do you mine it, you know, and that sort of stuff. So that's good. Any other questions? We'll take some questions, and then we'll wrap up.
One hypothetical. So we all go out and buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and a few months' time it goes to 100,000.
Yep.
As Patrick said, you know, there's that low liquidity. You know, we all want to sort of sell too. So in that sort of scenario, I mean, what would, you know, someone like you do in that scenario? Would you be sort of, you could say, you know, it went from $1,000 now, or 700 to 100,000. It'd be a good problem to have, but you know, would there be a bit of knowledge in selling portions too? I mean, you wouldn't want to just dump all that lot of Bitcoin on the market.
Yeah, and I think the reality is the time the market ever grew to that size, it'd be a $1 trillion market, you know, to get to 100,000 per Bitcoin. So it becomes, you know, 100 times bigger than the current market is. So there'd be massive increased liquidity. And you're always going to have people, some buying, some selling, some keeping. But what you would do is it'd be up to you, but you'd stagger out, you know, you sell some as it goes up and letting the rest run. That would be up to you, you know. But a lot of people cash out too early. So that's the way you cash out some and then cash out more. Just way you enter in staggered way, you exit in staggered way. And that's all you can do, and that's going to be up to every time it gets to a certain viewpoint. Now, if it gets to something changes in Bitcoin, we'll come out and say, well, because of this, and this, our viewpoint now in Bitcoin is that. And obviously, if you're on 21st Century News, or if you're on some of our databases, then obviously you'll see what our viewpoints are, or you're following me on my Facebook, you'll see what I will say. So it can give you an indication on where we see the market, because things can change and go, no, we now have a different opinion. We believe this is what's going to happen.
Just one last one. I'm still just slightly hazy on the concept of the wallets, and you know, I've read some of the emails that come through about how to set up a wallet, and is there a wallet you can have actually saved on your hard drive as opposed to having on a website? I mean, what's your sort of recommendation? I mean, I took on board have multiple wallets.
Yep.
Just to reduce
your risk, yeah.
Overall risk. I thought I read somewhere where you might have a backup of one of your e-wallets on it, like a thumb drive or something like that. I mean,
yeah, I'm probably not the best person to ask the technical questions too, because I have other people do that for me. But you know, if you haven't opened an e-wallet yet, you'll see the process. There's a link on there, or go to our site and you just click on the link. And I mean, there's different companies that do the e-wallet. So you can certainly open them up, obviously there. So the shortest way to get to our exchange is BXE, as go bxe.com.au. But you can certainly open all that up on there and read all of that. But there is a lot of e-wallets. The idea of having more than one is obviously if you just got a small amount invested, you're not going to worry about that. But as you build your portfolio, you're going to segment it in opening, having more than one bank account basically. And that's all an e-wallet is an electronic bank account. Right. And all the currencies. So really, I mean, do you ever, in most of the money you have in your bank accounts, like if you take a loan on a house or whatever, do you ever, when you get a home loan, they don't give you the $500,000 in cash, do they? You never see. It's just an electronic code, digits in your bank account. And what's your bank account? It's just an electronic wallet, effectively, true? So all a Bitcoin is an electronic, you use an e-wallet with a code. It's pretty much the same. It's digital currency.
The software.
Yep.
Yeah, I started downloading that one particular one, and I'm still downloading all those transaction blocks.
Yeah.
So I'm on the right track then. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, some of those things, the best way to learn is just open up an account and then you know how it works. So, any other questions? Very good. Well, I wish you the best in your Bitcoin career, whether it's just a hedge in case. There's a lot of people in the world today be going, even bigger companies. There was an analyst that come out and said, Bitcoin is speculative, of course, and risky. You should put no more than 1% of your portfolio in it. Now, as more and more analysts say this, put no more than 1% of your portfolio, the flip side is that going, well, if a lot of people put 1% of their portfolio into Bitcoin, you can see how the 10 billion market cap could go to 100 billion and, as much as possibly $1 trillion in the future, because there's a lot of 1% of a lot of portfolios is a lot of money. And there's a lot of big companies and big funds, etc. that have to go, hang on a minute, just in case Bitcoin does take off, we should have some just in case. So that's hedging. Buy and hold. If you're a firm believer in its future, you're buying to hold. I'm a buy and holder and a hedger. And also the last aspect is trading. As Patrick talked about, I'm also trading. So I'm giving Patrick funds to trade on. And because I don't have the time to do all that, but someone's watching the market can get in and out. And of course, if you want to use the exchange for trading as well, I mean, with our exchange, it's more of a boutique advisory broking exchange in the sense you can go and get cheaper rates overseas. And the big exchanges, we're not going to get any advice with it, etc. Where you're saying with a stockbroker, you can go to CommSec and pay virtually no rates to buy stock, or you can use a broking house that's going to give you updates and information so they can give you more idea when you should be getting in and out, etc. And and that's it. Or of course you can go mining, or if you're a merchant or looking at doing internet business, then consider accepting Bitcoin. It's that in the future will become much bigger. At the moment, not enough people have Bitcoins, so there's not as many transactions. But certainly for the way of doing internet businesses in the future, a lot of transactions will be via Bitcoin, and there's a great opportunity to get Bitcoins by selling a product online, and that's what we do. You can buy any 20th century education course with Bitcoin. You can buy US property at the moment with Bitcoin, and no doubt you can make political donations to 21st Century Australia political party with Bitcoin. We're the first, ourselves and WikiLeaks are the first two political parties in Australia, and in America it's becoming quite widespread, political parties collecting money in Bitcoin. So it is spreading around. It's becoming more accepted. As we mentioned before, Richard Branson, Virgin Galactic is also as well. So great chatting to you today. Hope you've enjoyed that. We'll let you know. We are planning. We'll let you know as far as the Global Australian Bitcoin Conference is being planned for the end of March. We'll confirm that. You'll be able to purchase tickets to that. And we are in negotiations to have the Winklevoss twins to come to that. Also Bobby Lee, we spoke to last week, the head of the BTC, the largest exchange, and a few other speakers to come to that. So that might be something of interest to you, and we'll keep you updated about that. Very good.